Security, escort this gentleman out, please.
Come on, Soda Pop, let's go.
City of Sioux Falls, this city council has made it a definite point during their tenure to welcome public input. This is an opportunity for you to engage the council on any topic that you want. All that this council has asked is really two things. They've asked just that you introduce yourself to the people of our city, number one, and then number two, they'd ask if you would keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. Is there anybody who wanted to engage the council? Welcome.
Scott Ersman, Sioux Falls. I'd also like to thank the counselors that are leaving tonight. I know some of us have shared many stories over the years. If people think that a lot of things happening on Tuesday nights here at the council meetings, I can guarantee you the counselors have many other stories they could tell you about their service. And always the infamous last line to me on the phone, "Don't blog about this." Anyway, I'm here tonight to talk about last week's meeting ended with the mayor speaking about public input. And it seems like every couple of months, citizens have to come again and remind the elected officials what freedom of speech means, what public input means to us, and why it's important to us. Public input is the only recourse we have as citizens with you as elected officials. I had to kind of chuckle earlier today. The informational meeting, Darren Smith came up here and was gravely disappointed that there was a discussion about him not being asked to be there. Well, as a citizen, I can tell you we're never asked to be at a lot of these things. So we have to come to these meetings and ask questions a lot. The thing is that there's nothing wrong with the way public input is being done right now. Nothing. It's not broken. It works fine. Each body has the power to do their meetings how they want to. And if anyone's out of line, the chair has the right to pick up the gavel and tell them to stop their testimony or to leave. You can do that at any meeting, at any time. Our meetings are, let's take for instance the Minnehaha County Commission. They don't have a limit on public input unless they think there's going to be a lot. Last week, the mayor showed up to the county commission meeting to talk about some of his property he owns and some drainage. And his testimony lasted 9 minutes and 36 seconds. They let him go because his information he was given was pertinent. They didn't feel that there should be a time limit. In fact, if you look at the city charter, the time limits are kind of laid out here. Section 30001, Section C. Any meeting of the city council may be adjourned to a later date and time, provided that no adjournment shall be longer period than until the next scheduled meeting. In other words, there are no time limits on these meetings. If they're going too long, there can be a recess to take a break for 5 minutes, or you can adjourn to the next day. Or you can plan your meetings better. There's many options. Public input's not broke. That's not the issue. I don't understand this time limit thing either. Everybody who's up here, and I thank you for your service gravely, but you chose to run for this office, and you chose to be up there. You chose to come to these meetings on Tuesday. You get paid to be here, as well as the directors, as well as the mayor. You get paid to be up here, no matter if that meeting's half an hour or 3 hours long. Many citizens, well, we don't get paid to be here, for one. And secondly, many of us, it costs us to be here because we're here to protect our property and other things. Trust me, there's other places we'd rather be when we're not getting paid. So, I don't understand these complaints of long meetings and the public input and how they're kind of this hassle all the time. This hassle that you have to deal with us. We elected you. Did you think we were just going to go away after we cast our vote for you? There's a saying that people like to use when they talk about veterans and their sacrifice. Freedom isn't free. I often tell people, besides the veterans who sacrificed their lives and other things, there are other people in this country and through history who have sacrificed their freedom of speech. If it weren't for Benjamin Franklin, who never picked up a gun during the Revolutionary War, we would have never won the Revolutionary War. He was the ambassador to France, secured the loans. He picked up the pen and the press and believed very strongly in the freedom of the press and the freedom of speech. And that's what gets things done too in our country besides the guns. I always remind people, freedom is free, freedom of speech. Speak out. Leave public input alone. It's not broken, it's fine.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate that. Anybody else want to engage the council? Welcome.
Bob Colby, Sioux Falls. I want to welcome 4 of you to the club of which I am a member, a political has-been. You will find that will take place after this meeting. Sioux Falls has always been blessed with having people who have been looking to the future. And it's not just because we're talking about this county and Minnehaha, we're talking about the city of Sioux Falls or any of the other political entities. It's had its roots going back into the early part of the last century. And they've been looking for the future, and they're trying to make a better community. Now, you will find that, that as you, because of your service here, you have an attitude, and I'm not making it a negative. You have a different attitude today than you had when you went on this council. And I hope that attitude stays with you, and it's a progressive attitude. You have insight in government, insight you did not have before. You have insights on how it works, and you have insights on how it does not work. The government that you've been elected to be part of, and I'm talking about the city, and I could say the same thing about county or the legislature or whatever, is it's kind of like your child. You become protective. You want it to grow well. You want it to have a good future. You have acquired a certain amount of knowledge, use it, and use it after you're out of this particular position. And in spite of the fact that you are joining this club of which I'm a over-the-hill has-been, I am reminded of what Mark Twain said, and I'm just as much a part of it as anybody else. He said, politicians are like diapers. They should be changed regular and for the same reason.
Ms. Colby, thank you so much. Appreciate it, and thanks for your service. Welcome.
Good evening. I am David Zokaitis, concerned citizen. Tonight, I am here on a mission of peace. Now, that's something people don't say very often, but that's my mission tonight, mission of peace. And I'm not talking about peace on a grand scale. I'm talking about peace in this room. I've been to a number of council meetings, and I've noticed a fair amount of discord going back and forth in both directions. I think as adults and mature citizens, we can get that to settle down, particularly because we've got a new council meeting. New members coming into the council. If you want to solve a problem, it's good to understand its origin. Well, I think there's a lot of quite discontented people out there in our citizenry, and as evidence of that, we note that Donald Trump is the Republican candidate for president. There has to be a lot of discontent for that man to be in that position. Similarly, Bernie Sanders has made quite a run for presidency. Again, a symbol of discontent. But when people are all riled up and not feeling good, they're looking to let off some steam. So maybe they come here and let off some steam to people who don't necessarily deserve it. So to address this problem, I've talked to a few of the presenters and said, we could tone it down a little bit. And I've also prepared some draft guidelines for public speakers. And we don't have time to read the whole thing, but you could just read the highlights there. Public speakers should understand their goals, stay calm, and focus on one topic, and look at the big picture, maybe offer a solution. And my daughter happened to, she's in grad school. She got a real kick out of, remember that politicians are people too. I mean, it sounds funny, but we're all in this stuff together, so we might as well be reasonable about it. You know, practice a little bit, limit to 5 minutes. I'm checking my watch, I got 3 more to go. All right, so I'm hoping that the city can maybe merge a copy of this and plop it on the agenda so that new speakers have some guidelines. You could put it on the website and help people get going, maybe get a little more public input if people have some idea what to do. Okay, so I'm trying to work with the presenters, get them to settle down a little bit, but I've also heard that maybe this city has done some tit-for-tat kind of stuff. You know, if presenters come in here and they're getting all riled up, and people in the city might get kind of riled up, and I've heard reports that I cannot substantiate one way or another that some presenters have been the target of special enforcement, shall we say. We don't need that. I've also heard reports that document requests have not been handled as professionally as they could be. Again, we just don't need that kind of discord. If people come up here and go off the deep end, then city government tends to deal with this hand, we get back and forth, and we don't need that. What we need is people who want to work together in peace and make for a better government. And with that, as normal, I'll bid you a good evening.
Thank you, David. We appreciate it. Folks, anybody else want to engage the council? Welcome. Welcome.
Kind of hard for me because I've never had to address the council, but I am just
And
your...
if you could just state your
Okay.
name, please, and then...
My name is Pam Fargen.
Thanks,
and,
Pam.
This is regarding an agenda to change my street address. I know that I'm not opposed to going forward with changes that are good for the community, but this one truly is impacting 5 houses. And I watched the water tower go up over time. I
Pam,
lived
is
through
it
that.
is it an agenda item later on?
Yes.
It is.
Well-
First, it's for, then you continue. Go right ahead.
Very
Thank you,
good.
Pam.
I really feel at this point that there's 5 houses that are impacted. 3 of the 5 houses that are on this street that you're trying to rename, which is the whole purpose of me coming tonight, is because of a safety issue. You wanted to rename our street. I actually am the widow of the one family that had to call 911. I lost my husband less than 5 to 6 months ago. And the only reason that they were not able to get there in time is because in a state of panic with me holding him in my arms, I was so confused at 3:30 in the morning, I gave them my old street address on the west side. But then I corrected that and told them the correct address within a minute later, and they did show up. And in fact, when I left my everyday job at the mall today, I Googled to see if in fact it would be a problem for them to make it to my house for fire and ambulance, which is the reason they felt they needed to change my street. This would in fact impact me so much. I've already gone through a lot. I buried my husband and my mother-in-law in the last 5 months. I counted last night when I was having tea, and I would have to change 314 different documents that impact my life. Let me just quick run through a bit. But anyway, when I Googled it, it drove me directly to my house from my work, and I had no trouble finding my home. So I know if the ambulance companies do use that, or the fire department, they would have no trouble finding my house. So that they said would possibly be an issue is not in fact an issue. I would have to change my light bill, my water bill, my garbage bill, my property tax bill, which would probably cost me money, or I don't know, my debit card, my Yonkers card, my Old Navy, my Citi, my Wells Fargo, my Macy's, my Target pension, my Social Security, my doctor at the clinic, my orthopedic doctor, my health care through Obamacare, through Avera, my AAA, my Costco, my Kohl's, my property that changed that I have to pay for in the next half, which would probably, I don't know if there's a fee to change that there might be, so that's out of pocket for me. All of my family members that are coming to my daughter's wedding in 2 months. I'm very nervous, I'm sorry. All of my friends who would send me a Christmas card. my electric bill, my cable bill, my insurance bills, my employer, my cell phone provider, my 6 magazine subscriptions, my car titles, my vehicle titles, my home title, my Edwards accounts. I own some property, it would be impacted that I'd have to go through an attorney to change. My newspaper, my voter information, my dentist, my chiropractor, my pennies, and my church. How many of you people would be willing to do that after you buried your husband? It's just asking too much for the mere reason of changing the street to be more convenient for someone to be there for an emergency. The reason, like I said, I'm admitting it was very hard until you've been there in that situation, that they weren't able to make it was not because they could not find it, but because I gave misinformation, and I have to carry that to my grave. But he was a good man, and I know if he was alive, he would support me in fighting this. And of the 5 residences, 3 of us are single women that are either widowed or whatever, and this is greatly going to impact our life. And I don't need this kind of stress. And when my daughter's wedding comes up in 2 months, all the remits, everything, it's just a nightmare. And I don't know any of you that would want to contact on your days off 314 people to tell them otherwise. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you.
This is my neighbor, Rhonda.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi, I'm Rhonda Dangle, and I'm another neighbor that this street name change of the name would impact me. So I agree with everything Pam said, and it'd be a lot of work to get everything changed, our address changed, and if we could rethink the renaming. Thank you.
Rhonda, thank you as well. We appreciate it. Folks, anybody else want to engage the council? Welcome.
Just want to thank the 4 city councilors. Yeah,
Tim, would you just...
Tim Stango.
Thank you, Tim.
I want to thank the city councilors for putting up with us for 8 years. I know we might not agree all the time, but we don't disagree all the time either. Kenny, thank you for being the representative in my neighborhood. I know that we do disagree sometimes, but we do agree, and we're able to talk after every meeting. That's a good thing. One thing that I am very adamant about is I'll stand up for the people that have made Sioux Falls for what they have, and that is the elderly people. I'm very passionate on standing up for them, and I just want to let you guys know, yes, I did get a little bit maybe excited last week, but I'm very passionate on standing up for the people that have made Sioux Falls the way it is. And I just want to be the voice for these people. And one thing that happened this weekend is I went out and mowed my yard, and there's been a car that's been sitting on the side of my road for about 3 months. I went and looked at it, no license plates on it or nothing. But there's a homeless guy, that's where he sleeps. That's his home. And he has no place to go. Yeah, the car's still sitting there. Nobody wants to call it in because where does the guy go? So I don't know if the city can do something for him or whatnot, but the car sits on Wayland, and he sleeps in the car every night. He stays in there during the day, and maybe we can do something for him. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. Folks, anybody else want to engage the council? Welcome.
Bruce Danielson. I'm one of the 5 the mayor referred to last week, and I just wanted to do a quick thank you to Kermit, who brought me into city politics. With the help that he, y'all can blame Kermit for me coming up here, I guess. And then there's Greg Jameson, who's has helped me on several of the issues that I've had with the city over the last few years. Kenny, you've done a good job helping get answers, and I talked to Heath today, and we're going to get the numbers yet on that street, and I really appreciate that. The neighbors have asked me, and Dean, thank you for being part of this process, and I hope that the 4 that remain will take our calls, because we really don't come up here to just cause problems. We see things, people ask us things, the more we're up here in front of the council and we're out about town, people ask us and point out things to us. And we're always trying to bring things to the council that, because some members of the council haven't been very good about returning phone calls and email messages, we're gonna keep coming up here. And this is a big part of why we have citizenship in this country. And we really love coming up here and talking about it. Looking forward to all the new members coming on board. And we're gonna indoctrinate them just as well as we've indoctrinated to us. So thank you.
Y'all come back now. Here.
What kind of morons run this outfit?